Welcome to Office Hours, hosted by Will Kaplan and myself, Steve Drost. Of course, Will and I are both from the Quivr CRM team. What is Quivr? We are the CRM built by financial advisors for financial advisors, and our objective is simple. How can we help you run your business at peak efficiency? In each episode of Office Hours, we tackle a couple of cool things that came directly from our users who are doing just that. Document generation from a CRM to get deliverables in front of clients has been a hot topic, Will, for how long? 76 years?
I mean, it's amazing to me how often this topic comes up. It's kind of the one thing of like, we spend all of our time doing this. I mean, I remember early on in my career, I became a rock star because I figured out how to put we were printing monthly reports or quarterly reports rather, and getting stuff to where like our printer had the ability to like insert, collate, report, and like we found a way to like glue all that stuff together. And it was really complicated at the time, right? And now I think about it in terms of like what some of these document generation tools can do. And it hasn't been that many years, but it is like a completely different world. I mean, generationally different in terms of like getting all of this information, sometimes of things that like normally you'd be like, well, there's no way I can do that. That data is not even in the system. But now you can like pull it all together. It's really powerful.
Yeah. And it's interesting that that's where yours came from, because I had the same desire. At a prior firm, I spent 4, 5, 6 hours a week making what we call the huddle notes. And it was that one-page summary of what was going on with that client. And I would give that to the advisory team before the meeting. Right?
Mm.
One of the first features in Quivr that we built, and this was even in DIY Quivr when I started my firm, was the meeting module. And the whole point of the meeting module was how can I, present this data in a specific way, so that way I can prepare for meetings really efficiently. But then you take it one step further, and what if I had an out-of-office meeting? Well, now I need a way to get this to either a sheet of paper or a PDF, so that way I can reference it, because I'm not going to have my 3 screens set up with that. So a little backstory, Quivr, right, built on Salesforce, and Salesforce, to be very frank, doesn't love PDFs. It just doesn't. Salesforce does not like getting data out and presented it into a PDF. And one of the first big things that we did when we were building Quivr was figure out how to do that. And we spent so much time creating a deliverable section inside of Quivr with 25, 30 different deliverable templates. And we were so happy with them. Like, this is going to be great. Users are going to love this. And then maybe our third user got on the system and they said, I want it to look like this. I want to add this. I want to do this. We quickly realized that we are not going to be able to create a deliverable engine that is going to be perfect or satisfy all of the needs of all of our users. So we pivoted and we went out, and it's how can we, what other companies out there are trying to solve this problem? Because this isn't just a Quivr problem or even a financial services problem. This is a Salesforce global operation problem. And we found a few that do really, really, really cool stuff.
And that's just one of the fantastic things about using Salesforce as our platform, is that we don't necessarily have to build every last little detail there. If you want to use a phone system, we don't have to build a phone system. Just go get one of the tools that's out there. It probably already has a Salesforce integration. You can pull that stuff in. This is the same way. Like, we could have spent probably years perfecting the document generation tool that resides within Quivr and made it really powerful and really, able to do a lot of different things. But like, instead, now, if you like Microsoft, or if you prefer Google, or if you're a Canva, creator, like whatever platform you want to go and like latch onto, you can just grab one of these tools, slap it on top of Quivr, and like go to town. I mean, now you can just sort of, take any of that data that you have inside of the system and get it into I think the old term that we always used was mail merge, right? Like, I got to get names on envelopes. But it's the same with all of these other, fields within Quivr, is you can take that data and you can put it into a document. And so then, from truly, making something unique and special, I can jump onto another platform like Fiverr or Upwork, hire someone to create a highly stylized template, and then inject all of this data into it. So I've really got something that, is world class in terms of how it looks. And, I can keep up with the, really, really big firms that are out there that are spending a lot of money to get this stuff, just because now it's a lot easier to, like, that barrier to entry is gone.
And they're not expensive. Opero documents is one of the most common ones out there. And I believe it's about $20 a month for 3 users, I think. It's definitely close to that. It might be 20 or it might be 21, but it's definitely in the 20s. So $250 a year. Let's just call it $250 a year. You're able to create your IPSs out of Quivr. You're able to create beneficiary reports. You're able to create, and we have people like the meeting stuff that I was talking about earlier. You're able to do, I mean, value adds for life insurance, disability insurance, estate planning, you name it. And we were just talking to a user not too long ago, and the first one that they built, Opero's got some good instructions, and we have experience with it as well, so we can provide a little guidance. But let's say the first one even took 15 hours to make. Well, once it's made, you can do an entire estate plan review for all of your clients in a day. That's scalable. And then you also now know how to do it. So then the next one you build is going to take less time and less time and less time. And this person we were just speaking with said it took him 2 hours to make his fourth one. So in 2 hours, he was able to create his desired outcome. And now we keep going down that rabbit hole. He now knows exactly what it's going to look like every time. He can train and delegate the data entry or the data syncing, the data review to the point where the next time this person does an estate plan review, all he's going to need to do is review the one-page document that contains the exact information that he wants for every client and then bring that to a meeting. Talk about leveraging technology in your staff. And it doesn't just have to be PDFs. That's another great thing about this. You want a PowerPoint? Okay, go find one that can work with PowerPoint. You want things to go into Excel, which I know we have people doing stuff in Excel because they're taking the data from Quivr and then applying formulas to it to then do stuff with, which is really, really cool. You can pick the format, you can pick what you want, and then go find the tool that connects to Salesforce, connects to Quivr, and get your outcome. It's not just client agreements, it's not just IPSs, but it's all of these value adds. I mean, you shared a story, Will. You hated printing envelopes. You had this thing, an envelope to the client, and then a second envelope that was the return envelope. So all you had to do was put a stamp on it because you didn't want to create labels.
Right. It was such a like it was just a small friction that whenever it came up, I was like, "Oh, I don't want to do this." But then when I got it to a point where I could just be like, "Oh, no, I just have to hit print." Like that's all I do now because this thing's already built. Like that frustration went away. And I think that's true with so much of this stuff. And a lot of these tools, I mean, like the user that we were talking to, their process is very much still push a button, like have someone come in and like kind of review the data, push the button, make sure that, you have a report and it goes. But like now that they know how to work this particular tool, Apero, like a lot of these document generation tools can also work with other native Salesforce functionality like flows, where you could create something where like, a meeting shows up in the system, in the meeting module inside of Quivr, and that triggers the generation of one of these documents. And to me, this is one of those things where like that Salesforce knowledge just keeps building. So like the first thing I figure out is like, okay, well, here's how, Apero works. And now because I've gotten good with Apero, I have a better understanding of objects, custom fields, all of this kind of stuff in the background that I didn't know before. Well, now I want to just have these documents show up automatically. So by learning how to like, okay, I'm going to go down that flow knowledge hole, or that flow knowledge path, and like kind of learn how flows work in order to get this document automatically created. Like now I've got even more Salesforce knowledge, so I can start applying it in other places as well. Like that to me is such an exciting part about this platform, is that there's a lot to learn. And as you kind of master one little piece of it, it just unlocks so much more power in all these other areas that you weren't expecting.
I know we have a large amount of users that are utilizing Opero and a few other options that we're familiar with. I am so happy that we decided to start pushing people to a third party tool because the use cases I would never think of. We have one firm I know of. They're using it for they have an older client base who likes mail, and they're using it for trade confirmation letters like, hi, we rebalance your portfolio today if you have any on this date. We have that same firm is using it for letters to schedule meetings like, hi, we're going to meet at this time. Please call us. We can't get a hold of you, right? Notifications of that stuff, confirmations that ACHs were received either direction. I mean, they're using this tool to have everything just printed on letterhead, pulling the addresses over, right? So, I mean, they're using it as a mail merge, but it's just way cleaner. Well, we could talk about this one for hours. It is a prime example of a piece of functionality that people just want. And when this individual, and he had no Salesforce experience, zero, he's been on our system for 10 months. And in 10 months, and he did this a long time ago. So at some point in 10 months, he decided to spend maybe 20 hours on this. And now he has the knowledge and the tool to do any output from the system that he wants. And that to me is really, really cool. But that's a wrap. Good stuff today. If you're a Quivr user, remember, join us on Wednesdays for office hours where we can help you with similar items, including the Opero documents, where odds are there's somebody at office hours who are doing something like this. So even if we don't have the knowledge, another user is usually there and willing to explain and spread their knowledge to others. If you're not a Quivr user, that is okay. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. But remember, it's not too late. Schedule a demo. Come hang out with me. Come hang out with Will. See Quivr live and see what we can do in your practice.